The Financial Sector Conduct Authority has ordered the ANC to pay 10 million rand a month into the staff members' provident fund until arrears are cleared. The watchdog announced it had reached what it's called an enforceable undertaking with the fund to implement an agreement it has with the ANC. Many of the more than 500 staff members' families had not received any compensation in the process. Joining us now for his thoughts on the latest development is Mvusi Mdala, representative of the ANC employees. Mvusi, good evening. Good to have you with us again tonight here on In Focus. So how long have you been sounding the alarm around this particular matter of your provident fund not being paid?
Good evening to you and the newsroom viewers. If you remember, we started to picket on the 15th of June 2021 around many issues, including this one of the Provident Fund. Since then, we have been seized with this issue up until today, and there's been no positive reaction from the employer.
To your knowledge, when did the ANC stop making these contributions?
And our understanding is that they last made their contributions, whereas deducting their money from us in November 2018 till to date.
And what do you think has led to them not paying your contributions?
In our thinking, as we indicated on the 15th of June 2021, that what has led to this, it's a poor financial management from the side of the management and the employer. And then whereas they are raising the question of Party Funding Act, and then but when you look at when they last did their contribution, there was no Party Funding Act. That's why we strongly believe that the main reason is the mismanagement of finances.
Yeah. And so how are the members then receiving this news of an enforcing agreement that has been reached, or an enforceable agreement, shall I say, that has been reached with the financial regulator?
As members, at face value, we welcome this from the FSCA, but also, as much as we welcome it, it's long overdue. But also, we are worried about it, that it must not be used by the employer not to pay our salaries on a monthly basis, and then citing that as a reason because they are servicing the debt. You must remember that even currently as we speak, and the employer have not paid our July salaries, and we are not even sure whether they will pay the August salaries.
Yeah, so realistically speaking, I mean, an expectation of the ANC to pay 10 million rands a month until they catch up with their obligation. Do you think it's something that they'll be able to do?
It's not for us to speak on their behalf. I think they are better placed to do that. But I think as much as we welcome it, our main concern is what I have raised. And then, but time will tell whether they will be able to do that when they are currently struggling to pay our salaries on the month-to-month basis.
One of the things that has been highlighted by the FSCA is that the onus of ensuring that there are no arrear contributions and to consider appropriate action if there are such arrears remains on the trustees of a fund. Now, which means the trustees of this particular fund have let down the employees, would you say?
No, you know, as staff, we have elected members of the board of trustees, and then I think all of them, and then the employer also, they have seconded from the board. And then I think by now they understand their fiduciary duties that they're supposed to exercise to ensure. And then also this enforceable agreement, I'm sure they are going to consider and take it seriously, because if you look at the time that the employer has not been making this contribution is too much, more than 40 months, not meeting its obligation. They should have done something about it. But we are not going to cry over the water that is spilled now. I think what we are focusing on is what has been agreed as from today moving forward.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying the employees are expressing their trust still in the Board of Trustees that has been set to watch over this fund?
Yes, yeah. At this stage we do, and then until such time that the employer falters again not to pay, and then we see what action the Board of Trustees is going to take. Because must remember, those that were elected by us at all time must represent our interest as workers.
Yeah. It's the 17th of August, Mvusi, and you're telling us that your July salaries have also still not been paid. You're not sure whether the August salaries will be paid. What's the latest as far as the July salaries that you're hearing from the employer?
Unfortunately, there is no date when the July salaries is going to be paid. And then on a week-to-week, and then we just receive news that the employer is still trying to raise money to ensure that we are being paid at this stage. That's why I said earlier on, we are worried that we already have a backlog of 1 month. We are likely to have a backlog of 2 months. And then that's what makes us worried that when it comes to this 10 million rand on a monthly basis, is the question of implementation. Is good to have an agreement, but whether it's going to be implemented is something else.
And are there talks, conversations amongst yourself, again, of more pickets at this particular point?
As a staff, we have not considered any further actions, but next week we are going to meet as a staff to say this is the situation that we are confronted with. And then we must remember from today till the 25th, it's about 8 days before we get our salaries. We have not received a notification whether we're going to do that, I think, but definitely next week we are going to meet and chart the way forward in terms of what action that we need to do, because fortunately on this provident fund we are being covered by the action of the FSCA.
Yeah. The provident fund is one area that probably has not been attended to. Do you think there are other contributions except for the provident fund that have also not been made on your behalf, that is, as employees?
No, the provident fund is one of those, and then we must remember that the other contribution is UIF and SARS, and then but the employee, I think, is doing what it's supposed to be doing to make sure that is up to date. And then, yeah, that's in terms of the debts that we know that affect the employees. Those are the ones, and the salaries.
Appreciate your time, Mvusi. Thank you very much for coming on. That is Mvusi Mdala, representing the ANC employees there and how they are receiving the news from the financial regulator and the enforceable agreement that has been put in place.